that are associated to TSC. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are a seasoned subscriber, welcome back, and hope you are having an amazing day. On Mondays, I do videos all about fashion. On Fridays, I do videos all about TSC and its impact on my two daughters. So if you're interested in either or, please hit the little subscribe button, hit the little bell so you can be notified on all of my latest videos. And let's get started. So if you have someone that you care for that has TSC, then you're probably really familiar with the fact that when it comes to TSC, cases can be very, very mild, meaning that you wouldn't even know that your child or a family member or loved one had TSC. But there are cases where they are extremely severe. Like my conversation the other day with a family member, she was telling me that she knows someone with a child that has a very severe case of TSC. Now that child is nonstop having seizures, which is very common in the TSC world, unfortunately. Actually, when we would take our girls in to get checked for with a neurologist, we'd see some severe cases of TSC. So we are fortunate in the sense that we do have a pretty mild. My youngest has more of an impact on her learning, but you know, as far as my oldest, her impacts were more towards the kidney issues, which are more associated to FSGS than TSC. Now she does have a skeletal tuber, and she does have cortical tubers throughout her brain, which have very limited to no impact on her brain. But other than that, she just has more of the lesions as far as on her nail bed and her toes. As far as the skin tags are concerned, periungual fibromas is what they're called. But as far as anything neurologically, she was not impacted neurologically. Now this is my eldest. Now for my youngest, she was impacted neurologically, where she has had seizures, especially when she was younger. As she has gotten or grown into as my youngest has grown up, seizures started to wean off. Medication was finally adjusted to fit her perfectly, and she's very rarely or to never has a seizure. So we're very fortunate in that aspect. Now, when it comes to learning disability, we are constantly trying to find the right remedy for her to be obviously successful in life, and just so she can be able to function or function highly as an adult. We're still trying to find the right remedy and the right combination of courses and classes and therapies to ensure that she does have a successful career as she gets older. So let me explain a little bit about the three types of tubers that TSC is very well associated with. Cortical tubers is pretty much what TSC was named after. This is pretty much on the surface of the brain. These are typically on the surface of the brain, pretty much scattered throughout. They can be deep within the brain as well. Just note that. Now, with the cortical tubers, they can be either impactful or not, depending on where they're located. My oldest has cortical tubers spread out throughout her brain. No impact whatsoever because of where they're located. So we were very lucky with that. In actuality, we didn't even know my oldest had tuberous sclerosis until she was about 12 years old when I was pregnant. And we took her in to just check out those periungual fibromas, which at the time we didn't know what they were called. And since her father had them, we just thought it was skin tags. So when we took her in, the podiatrist actually told us, hey, I think I know what this is called, gave us the name of it. And from that day on, my life spiraled out of control, and here we are. So just a little background about it. Now the other one is the SEN. So with the SEN, those are actually nodules that build within the walls of the ventricles or the fluid-filled cavities of the brain. And then you have the SEGAs, which are the giant tubers, which unfortunately is one of the ones that my daughter has. It did cause a fluid blockage. It also caused her to have her seizures and her learning disability. With the SEGA, this one develops from a SEN and then grows into potentially block the flow of the fluid within the brain. So it causes buildup of fluid, and it also pressure that can lead to headaches, and pretty much blur vision. Now these are just what I'm talking about today are just specific to the brain. Obviously, tuberous sclerosis has countless types of tumors that can grow in the eyes, the pretty much the nails. It can pretty much grow wherever, in your lungs, in your heart, in your kidneys, in your liver, in your any organ throughout the body. Now, unfortunately, with TSC and these different types of tumors, you can have cognitive difficulties, seizures, behavioral problems. You can have autism, very common. Other things with TSC is obviously you have the skin abnormalities. So with TSC, which is actually a lot more common, it occurs in all races. So when you go in to see your doctor and you go to a specialist in TSC, you'll see all different cultures and backgrounds in the US, but it's about 1 in every 6,000 kids are actually born with the condition of TSC. Now, if a parent has TSC, if one of the parents have it, it's a 50% chance that the child will be born with it. Now, the one thing about children that are born with TSC, they will most likely they can have the same symptoms as the parents, they can have the same symptoms as their parents, but like in our situation, my youngest and my oldest both had more severe cases, one because of the kidney, the other one because of the learning disability and the seizure. The father, we didn't even know he had it. Let's put it like that. The only apparent condition was that he had the skin tags or the periungual fibromas. So let me get into how the brain tumor has impacted my youngest. And again, my oldest had no neurological real impacts except for just some headaches that she had from the tumor that was growing within her skull, which I will get into another video about and give you a little bit of detail on how that works. Now, with my youngest, we are currently, she is going to a specific school that addresses children with disabilities, whether it's most importantly the learning disability, because she does have delays where she is trying to obviously catch up to other kids as far as like the impacts of her inability to process information and retain it, and which is the most difficult challenges that she faces today. So when you ask her to do something or show her a math problem, it's very difficult for her to retain the information, so she wants to just give up. So as a parent and as a teacher, our focus is trying to drive the fact that, hey, we want you to keep trying. So if as an individual, when you try something so often, your first reaction is to just give up. And that's where we have to continue to push her forward and make sure that she pushes towards it. And a big part of that is repetition. So in most regular schools, teachers are unable to give her that extra attention. And as you're well aware, they can't continue to just go over the same material constantly. So with that being said, I have her signed into 3 different courses outside of school where it teaches her math, reading, it goes over math, reading, tutoring. She also has a psychologist. She also is going to work study for kids that do have learning disabilities to get her ready for the real world once she transitions into the her working age, which is soon. And she's 15, she will be working soon, which I'm excited. I also want her to have the ability to be able to drive. So this is going to be a real big challenge, right? So our focus is to give her 2 years of schooling and then transition her into her driving, physically driving, which again, we have to see if that's something that she's going to be able to do. So all this comes into play, right? Another thing that she struggles with is retaining friendships. Now, it isn't because she cannot get a friend, it's because she cannot keep that friend. And it's a lot of it is that at a young age you don't understand what's going on. Why is she the way she is sometimes, which becomes she becomes overwhelming because children her age don't understand what's going on. Why is she acting a certain way? Why is she overwhelming? Why is she repetitive? And it comes back to just how her brain functions, related to having those tubers in her brain. Because obviously she doesn't just have the SEGA, but that's the one that's the most impactful. She has the cortical, she does have senas, she has a little bit of everything, but the SEGA one is the one that's impacting her heavily. So these are ones that we have to continue to monitor. And the way we're doing that is she takes 4 different types of medications. One specific that has been working tremendously for her is called everolimus. So this medication is actually fairly new. It actually is a protein blocker. Some cancer patients even take it. So what it does is, where her tuber was a few years back, if you watch one of my other videos, she had a tuber the size of 3.2 centimeters. So, which was fairly large, right? So what we ended up doing was we had to rush to the hospital. We thought she was gonna have brain surgery. We were like convinced. So the specialist, or the surgeon, the neurological surgeon that we went to see, I mean, amazing. Unfortunately, I don't have his name, but he's no longer there at St. Joseph's, but he is tremendous. We went through everything. He checked her scans. He saw that she couldn't move her neck. And it goes back to the fluid blockage, right? If you start to see, if you have a child with TSC and you see that your child is actually having issues moving their head, or they're getting a stiff neck, even if the child doesn't have TSC, please consider taking your child to the ER and having your child get an MRI, because it could be related to something neurological, which is very dangerous, okay? Especially if you do not treat it on time. So when he saw her MRI and he saw all her information, he said, listen, we can try the new medication, which I actually did research on, and I was ready to actually ask him about, and we were on the same page. Neurologically, she was doing okay, and he didn't see any issues with the blockage. He said she still he was telling me that she still looks good as far as like what our options are and what we can do. So we decided to try everolimus. So within a year, her tumor was down to about 2.8 centimeters, and she's currently at about 1.65 centimeters, which is tremendous. And this has been about, let me see, it's been a few years, but the tuber continues to decrease in size. And probably within 3 months, actually less, about a month and a half to 2 months, her neck was good. She wasn't having any more issues, and she was doing amazing. So just note that we have so many challenges right now, but there are families that have children that have such a severe level of impact. So we are still very grateful for the fact that even though our life is insane and crazy, we're very fortunate that we are not, we don't have a child that's consistently having seizures that so many loved ones and parents are dealing with today, that my heart goes out to, because I know how severe this disease can be. I see it all the time when we go see our specialists. And my heart breaks for those mothers and those fathers that are dealing with that. So though our life is difficult, it's challenging, those parents are true heroes, because they are dealing with this every single day to the mass level. So again, I do these videos to get the information out there. As a parent with 2 daughters with TSC, prior to having a child, I would highly recommend that you consider doing genetic testing, just to understand what you may be facing in the future should you decide to have a child together. It is so important, and I really get upset because it's not information that's out there and the doctors don't want to share it. Yes, the tests are expensive, but so worth it, because think about how expensive it could be if you have a child with the severe neurological disorder, because and you could have known this prior to having a child and making the right preparations prior to that, right? So it's ultimately up to you, but give yourself that information and be prepared as a parent. I wish I had that opportunity, right? To say, hey, is this something that we can do? Is this something that we can care for? Is this something that we have the means to do or to take care of prior to having a child? So I highly recommend that you do take that time out, right? And I totally wish I had that chance. Okay, so thank you guys for listening in. Thanks again, guys, for listening in. I do appreciate it. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell button, because I could definitely use the support of the algorithm gods to help me grow my channel or continue to grow my channel. I am closely to 100 subscribers, and I'm so excited because I started with 0. So that means a lot to me. I am super excited to be here, and I appreciate all of the love and support. Please feel free to share in your input. I love to see the comments. I'll be more than happy to respond to every single one that I can get to. Obviously, I am still new here, but still excited to be a part of this community. And thank you so much again. And please never forget to focus through and evolve. Ciao.